Good morning. I'm Senator Bonacic, and welcome to our monthly show. Today I have a special guest, Assemblywoman Rabbitt, who represents part of Rockland County and Orange County, and she represents the town that I live in, the town of Mount Hope. Annie, welcome today.
Thank you, Senator. It's a pleasure to be here and joining you this morning.
Yes, we'd love to have you. And what I wanted to talk to you about a little bit is I'm going to talk about this budget that was just passed by the Democrats in Albany, since they controlled both houses and they controlled the governor's office. I don't want to depress our listeners, but Annie, what did you think about this year's budget?
I thought it was sad. It was sad for the taxpayer at home to think that as hard as they work and as much as they work, at the end of the day, there's nothing to show for it. And Albany is not their partner. Albany is not even helping 1 ounce of their lives, making it any easier. And it's disappointing.
I agree with you, Annie. I think the governor proposed 142 new taxes, assessments, and fees, and it amounted to $8 billion in new taxes. And when most middle-class families are struggling, cutting back, state government went in the opposite direction. I know it was a tough fiscal economy, and we had federal stimulus money of almost a like amount to be spent, but I thought we could have cut government spending more. There were more government efficiencies we could have implemented with agency cuts, consolidations, property tax cap, and none of that was done. It was tax and spend, and according to our calculations, it imposed an additional $2,400 a year in new taxes on hard-working middle-class families. That was very disappointing. And you know, when you look at some of the taxes that they actually raised, they raised the utility tax, and I thought this one was crazy. They raised the tax on health care when everyone at the national level we had been in the past trying to make health care more accessible and affordable, and now they're increasing the premiums on health care. And, you know, I can go on, raising the income tax. And I guess the one that hurts the most, you know, in our area, the Mid-Hudson, especially Orange County and Rockland, is the enhanced rebate checks.
Absolutely.
So what are you seeing happening to property taxes? What are you hearing from your constituents?
I think what happens in Albany, the effect that they have on the middle-class working person, is when they put a fee, which they love to say fee, it's a tax, on a family who's watching cable, a family who necessity needs to go to work, to have a car, to use a cell phone, to have babysitting services. Every aspect of their life is not a luxury, it's a necessity. So here in the state of New York, instead of assisting the families, we're not assisting. We're making it so difficult for them because, first of all, when the family has to think about how much am I going to owe in taxes compared to how much am I going to put food on the table, it's not a fair cut. And when we talk about government is supposed to help or step aside, Albany wants to be in your living room. And I do a scenario about sitting on your couch, the furniture that gets delivered, how taxed it is, your cable rate, if we would allow really the soda that you drank in the refrigerator, no matter what you're touching in your house, to sit on your couch will be unaffordable. So we can't let you live in your home. Now we can't even let you live on your couch and live because it's unaffordable. So how is Albany helping it? It's not helping it.
Albany, I thought, was very destructive this year in how they treated small businesses and middle-class families. The other thing that we tried to do in the Senate, we had a series of amendments which we try to restore funding, which we thought were misplaced priorities in cutting. We tried to restore close to $9 million for libraries, which took a hit. Our cultural programs, which everyone talks about as the leading industry in the state of New York, but yet it took heavy hits. We tried to restore $40 million amendment in this area. We try to restore the enhanced property tax rebate for middle-class families. And the last but not least, we try to restore the monies that were raided from the tuition hike from our four-year colleges at our SUNY schools, where the state took 90% of the tuition increase from last year's budget to fill the hole, and this year's budget they took 80%. So all those amendments the Republicans put in, and the 32 Democrats in the Senate voted no on those priorities. We were terribly disappointed. And the other point that I want to make is that we had a plan. It's not just voting no all the time. You have to be constructive. You have to show proposals that there's another way.
Absolutely.
And we did that. We did that by a Senate alternate plan that could show cuts in state government of approximately $5.5 billion. We had a rainy day fund that was never touched, which I don't understand. I mean, if it wasn't raining this past year, it was more like a hurricane.
Absolutely.
But they didn't touch that. And the other thing is, in the stimulus package, there was $1 billion given to the state of New York that was discretionary. The state could have used it any way they wanted in an unrestricted way. And they didn't use any of it to reduce any of these taxes. So if you ask me, what is the report card on Governor Patterson, Sheldon Silver, Malcolm Smith, and all of the Democrats that voted for this budget, it would be an F.
Yes.
That would be their report card. And to make matters worse, Annie, done in secret, in haste, 3 city Democrats in a room not open to the press or the public. Going back to the dark ages when you talk of transparency. So enough about the budget. As I said, I didn't want to depress our constituents. They're feeling the pain every day. And Wall Street may talk about how it's bottoming out, but Main Street is still hurting badly. I don't know about you, but the constituent calls to my office, the emails, the letters, it's like breaking records.
Yes.
What are you seeing in your office,
I say the
Andy?
same thing. In the last 6 months, the office, we can barely keep up. When we even leave here on a Wednesday or a Thursday, I'm still on the phone driving. When I get home, so the days, you know, we put in a long day, but the stress of the family or the working person or the small business owner, what they're having a hard time dealing with, all the taxes that were put on the backs of all our working people, they're just being applied carelessly. So when they wake up within 2, 3 weeks, 4, they're being taxed. They're not prepared. They weren't even ready for it. Now, I use this scenario of if a person has supplies and they're selling something, you know, what are they going to put, duct tape over the prices and mark them up? They already have their budget. They began their year in good faith, putting enough aside to help non-for-profits, those little leagues. People come to their businesses wanting, you know, needs, friends in needs. They're always there. Then you have a certain amount of money put away for taxes. But then the government's in here now saying, you owe us taxes, and we're making sure within 30 days you're going to be taxed. So now you're not going to help your non-for-profits. You don't have a choice. You're going to slow down. And so is it helping the economy? Absolutely not. It's not. And then, you know, on the backs of the worst economic time we've ever seen, the MTA, you know, the train has come through the Hudson Valley, and it's absolutely hitting us head first. It's the worst piece of legislation I've ever seen in my 5 years here.